Hi everyone. I was very excited when I was asked to speak for Legadel, but I did not know how many of you I actually know. I did not know how many people work for Legadel. This is a massive organization done very, very secretly. I think women are very good at that. It's like everybody does their job. It's like, you work for Legadel, but you work for you also work for Legadel. That's basically what I've said to most people I've met this evening. What have you done? This is amazing. And I want to just say that it's so special. Most of you who know me know that my eldest son is a very disabled special needs child, and it is amazing for me to be part of a community that cares about the weak and the vulnerable. It reminds me of a quote from Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch in Parshas Mishpatim, when he speaks about the laws of Avodim. He says that the measure of a society is not how productive they are or how economically successful they are, but how they treat the most weak and the most vulnerable. And I just think that just standing in this room with everybody here, I know you do a job and you get paid for it, but you're doing a massive mitzvah, a massive chesed every single time you do it. And in fact, we know that even if we get paid for a job, if when we do it, we have in mind that we're doing this mitzvah of chesed, it's a chesed of v'ahavta l'recha kamocha. You would want somebody to do this for your child, and so you're doing it for their child. It's also a mitzvah of, Kol Yisrael Revim Zeh B'Zeh, that we are all responsible for one another in Klal Yisrael. So, you're not saying, well, my child doesn't have issues, so I'm going to stay at home. You're saying, what can I do to help other people? And it's really, really beautiful to be here. I had an amazing experience a few weeks ago that I wanted to share with you. So my son goes to a non-Jewish school that's nearby, and he left for school, and then I realized that I forgot to give something to the school, so I went to the school. But what happens is that he went on a school bus and I drove. So I got there 10 minutes before he arrived at school, so I sat on the bench outside. I've never actually sat on the bench outside his school before, so I've never seen this happen. But school starts at 9:15. There are about 70 children in the school, some more disabled, some less disabled, but all very much on the severe spectrum. And at 9:15, so there are about 10 school buses outside, these little minivans, with children in wheelchairs and children who could walk but needed help, and all different ages, but all high school ages, so ages from age 11 to 18. And at about 9:15, the school doors open and all the staff come out. There must be about 25 or 30 staff members, and each one goes onto a bus and takes a child and smiles at them and says, welcome to school, and brings them in and deposits them in the classroom, and then goes out again to collect another child. And every single child got greeted personally by an adult who was so excited to see them. And every single child, you saw their face light up that somebody was excited to see them, and this was the beginning of their school day. And I thought to myself, can you imagine if we did that for all our regular children? Imagine if when they got to school, every single child was told, wow, I'm so happy you came to school today. I'm so happy you're here. Can you imagine how much their life would change? Because they feel like somebody noticed me, that I'm here in school. Somebody thinks it's a good idea for me to be here, and somebody's happy that I'm here. And I just was thinking about the word Legadel, right? We all say when we light our candles, V'zakeinu Legadel, we should be able to bring up our children. And the name for this organization, Legadel, and I thought was so appropriate, because we call the people that we go to for brachas, they're gedolim, and that this is godless. And what's this word? So this word really in Hebrew means big, right? Gadol, big. And what do we say about the gedolim? Why they're called so big or so great? Because they have very big perspective. A person who's very small-minded, let's say, or very petty, we see they're very small. They can only see their own perspective. And the greater a person is, the more perspective they have, the more they can stand back and say, oh, I want to see it from your point of view. I can see it in a larger way, right? And that's what we want to do. When we bring up our children, as they get older, we try and give them a perspective about what life is. That's what we're trying to do, and give them a bigger perspective. It's not just about you, it's about you in a context of society, and about you within everything. And I feel like when we give to these children who need extra help in whatever way it is, and when you walk into the school and you see this kid, this child, and this child will need help in speech therapy or occupational therapy or language therapy, whatever reason you're there, you are being able to give this child a perspective about their life, and you also gain a perspective, right? When you give, you always gain, that's the rule. And when we give to these children, we gain a life perspective. And I think that that's the godless here, Legadel, what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring up these children to greatness. That's what we're trying to do. And I know this organization is only 5 years old, but it's massive. And you're really catering to such a big need, because the children who are not very, very severely disabled, maybe they're just a bit slow, they can't catch up in their class in a specific thing, they often fall through the cracks. And these are the children that grow up with very low self-esteem. These are the children who feel they can never be anything. These are the children who don't fit into that system, right? And you're always scared about these children. And then you have a whole organization of amazing people, men and women, who come into the school and say, no, 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 I care that you came to school today, and I want to help you find your greatness. I actually was speaking to a good friend of mine here who lives in Gold's Green. She doesn't work for Legadel, but she actually works in the Beis Yaakov Satmar School in Sanford Hill, and she told me such a beautiful story. She said she's a specialist teacher and she works in the primary school there, and she has to work with kids who are dyslexic or dyspraxic, and she sits with them and she says every once in a while she has to do something called an assessment in order for them to get certain monies from the government or certain help. They have to fill out a form and do a whole assessment. And she said to me, these assessments are horrible for the child because you spent months and months with them telling them, you're doing amazing, you're doing great, and really they're developing in very small increments, but you know that success breeds success, and you want to tell them how great they are, and they really are for what they're doing, but then you do an assessment and they fail every single line. So she said to me, I had this girl, let's call her Sarah, okay, this 8-year-old girl, and she said I'd worked with her for weeks, and then I knew she had to have this assessment done. And I could have got somebody from the outside to do this assessment. She's very badly dyslexic, but I knew it would make her very nervous. So I sat her down and I said, Sarah, I want to tell you something. I have to do an assessment on you, and it's a reading comprehension, because she's so dyslexic. When she reads, she gets so nervous about her reading, she doesn't really understand what she's reading, so she can't really do the comprehension at the end. But she said, I have to do this assessment on you. And then she said something so beautiful. And I want to tell you something, Sarah. What's on this piece of paper, that's not who you are. You are Sarah, you're amazing. And she said, and I told her all these amazing qualities about her. This piece of paper is just something that I have to write down about you, but it's not who you are. You are so much bigger than this piece of paper. You're so much more than this piece of paper. This doesn't mean anything except that I have to write this down. She said I had to, and I did this assessment, and it was horrible, and she did fail on almost every single thing, and I had to hand it in, and this is going to be part of her, her education plan for the future, and it was actually very helpful that I did it. But afterwards, when she left, she said, thank you so much, and I know that this is not who I am. This is just something that I had to do. And I just feel like every person in this room, that's what you get to say to these kids. You get to say to these kids, you're doing great, you're doing great. And even if you fail at this, that's not who you are. In school, they think they are their test. So if everybody gets 100% and they get 40%, so they are a failure. And they maybe can get through their whole life thinking, I'm just a failure because I can't do this or I can't do that. And then when you come in, you show them that struggle is, it's all about the effort that you make and not about, right? It's not about whether you succeed or not. We learned this actually from last week's parasha in Parashas Vayishlach, and I wrote it down on my phone because I didn't want to misquote the pasuk. So let me find it, hold on. So there's a pasuk in Parashas Vayishlach. So we know that Yaakov fought with the Sar Shel Esav, right? We know that Yaakov fought with the Malach and he won, and therefore Yaakov is now called Yisrael. And it's so fascinating, this whole event, because imagine fighting with the Malach and then imagine winning. You can't even imagine the whole idea of it. But what's going on here? It's so interesting because the pasuk then says after the fight, it says Vayomer lo Yaakov Ye'omer oid shimcha ki im Yisrael ki sarisa im Elikim ve'im anoshim v'tuchal. You won't be called Yaakov anymore, you'll call Yisrael. Why? Because sarisa, because you struggled, right? Because you fought with this malach and you won. And it's so interesting that the name Yisrael The root of the name Yisrael comes from actually the word sarisa, which has got to do with the struggle. So actually, Klal Yisrael is named after the word Yisrael, which is all about the struggle. It's all about the effort. That's what we all say, that when we make an effort, when we do something, we create a kli for bracha and for hashgacha protest. That's what we do. When we go out there and say, I want to start an organization, we'll call it Legadel. And we're going to change the lives of people, of little children who are the next generation, who are so important to us. So we're going to change their lives. And it's one person, Yodi, that's right, who decided one morning, and who decided one day it's not good enough. We are Klal Yisrael and we care about each other, and there's just too many children who are falling through the cracks, and these are all hidden. And so from one small idea, one small effort, there's a massive kli of hashgacha protest and bracha, and people want to be part of Legadel. And what's even more amazing is that Legadel has made sure there's no stigma. No kid is embarrassed to say I'm part of Legadel. They all love it. So you not only have you created something that's essential for all of us, you know, for all of my children and all of your children and all of us, but you've managed to create something that also is without like, oh, he's the nerd, that's why he's going to Legadel, he's the never. But it's not like that. That's not what people feel about it, that's not what people think about it or say about it. And that's also very important for the children. And I want to say that all of you are putting in a tremendous amount of effort to these children. And some children will be more successful than others. Some children will progress more than others. But we know that it's not about the progression. We know it's about us saying, we want to be there for you, and we care about you, and Klal Yisrael care about you, and we're going to help you get through this system, this horrible system that only really fits one child, that we're all trying to shove our children in, and some children literally just say, absolutely not, I can't do this. And other children manage it with in lots of different ways, and we do make an effort, and they make an effort, and we are called Klal Yisrael because of the effort that Yaakov made when he was fighting with this malach, and therefore we're called Klal Yisrael. And the greatest reward from this whole organization is that the next generation, these children, they're going to grow up, and they're also going to be great, and they're going to make Klal Yisrael great, and they're going to start organizations themselves because they were helped so much by this. So I want to say thank you on behalf of everyone who doesn't know that you work for Legadel, because you all do it in secret, the most secret organization. And thank you for inviting me to come and speak for such a special day. Thank you.